Good evening and welcome to the 7 o'clock news here on CNC3. I'm Charlene Ramdani.
Good evening. Glad you can join us. I'm Samson Nanton.
In the headlines tonight, a late-night incursion into Laventille by scores of police and army personnel in response to a riot. We bring you the exclusive footage. The National Security Minister and Attorney General defend the police in shooting death of John Mann.
Consumers told to brace for an increase in the price of eggs. We bring you part 2 of our focus on citrus fishermen versus state-owned Petrotrin.
And in sport tonight, Samuel Badri and 7 other nationals named in the West Indies T20 World Cup team. Top of our news tonight, scores of soldiers and police officers moved to Laventille last night following a riot by Picton residents after the shooting death of Nigel Caesar in John. A convoy of 10 police and military vehicles went into the area after 11 last evening to clear fiery debris. Police officers were earlier shot at while trying to quell the protest, prompting the heavy show of force. CNC3's Samson Nanton was the only journalist on the convoy with the joint team, and he files this exclusive report.
Past the Picton tanks, a convoy of military and police officers, some on foot, in scenes reflective of an invasion. This was hostile territory Tuesday night, around 11 p.m, as any incursion here earlier was met by gunshots in the dark in retaliation to the shooting death of Nigel Caesar earlier in the day. Police had locked down the roadway from Besor Street to Picton Road around 7 last evening, as residents started taking action against commuters, blocking the road with debris and stoning vehicles. They would spend several hours here containing the protest inside the main community, where word was that the residents had lit several fires along the road, blocking the regular flow of transport. With things appearing to return to normal on the main road, a tractor driven by a military officer would arrive, and before long, officers positioned themselves to move into the community in their numbers. CNC3 was offered the opportunity to go into the hot zone with the military and police officers, the convoy snaking along Picton Road, where from time to time they'd stop, removing debris from place to place, some still smoldering. Residents had claimed that the police had killed Caesar in cold blood, and although his family had admitted that he was involved in some gang activity, they say he was unarmed at the time. Police, however, gave us a different version. Police Inspector Sahadi Hussain telling us that police officers on patrol had called out to the man to stop, but that he turned and shot at them, following which officers returned fire. They say Caesar ran a short distance and attempted to shoot at them again, and that the officers again returned fire, wounding him fatally as he was declared dead when he arrived at the Port of Spain General Hospital. It would take this entire police and military operation about 45 minutes to end, this one completely incident-free, by which time the residents' action had already subsided.
Responding today to last evening's shooting and the subsequent action by residents, National Security Minister Jack Warner says that as far as he knows, the police acted within their rights. He says it appears that some residents have no problem when criminals shoot each other, but complain when police do the shooting. Again, Samson Nanton reports.
As the National Security Minister, Jack Warner is standing by his troops following the shooting death of Nigel Caesar last evening.
We have to support the police in their legitimate execution of their duty, and from all reports, it seems to me that there are no blames that there is no blame that one can put on the police as such. So I'm not going to put blame, no.
Minister Warner believes that there must be a culture change in Laventille for the area to lose the stigma attached to it. He says it appears that some have no problem when criminals kill each other, but complain when police do the shooting.
It is quite good in Laventille if a criminal shoots a criminal, if a criminal shoots another alleged criminal. But when the police shoots, that's a big event, and something has to be wrong in the culture, and that has to be addressed, because it can't be wrong if a criminal shoots an alleged criminal, but when the police help to defend itself himself or herself as people, it's an offense. Something has to be wrong. And I have to find out how we can address that.
Minister Warner says his comments on fighting fire with fire cannot be construed as a license to kill, but he says the police must defend themselves.
For me, what happened last night was the police were legitimately pursuing their duties when they were confronted by a gunman and they retaliated.
The minister has sent condolences to the family of Caesar.
Attorney General Anand Ramlogan is standing by the police officers who are reported to have killed Nigel Caesar on Tuesday night. He says criminals must understand that they cannot shoot at police officers without some form of retaliation. We have more from Samuel McKnight.
A reminder of Tuesday night's chaos at Hillview Road Junction, where residents protested what they insist was the murder of a son of the soil, Nigel Caesar, by police bullets. But responding today, Attorney General Anand Ramlogan says he stands by the measures taken by the officers.
I stand on the side of the police. I stand on the side of the rule of law. And if those allegations are proven, swift action will be taken against those culpable. And equally, if they're not proven, I would expect that the community that is affected will also come clean with the population and understand they have a social and moral responsibility to the rest of Trinidad and Tobago.
Police reports are that shortly after 5, officers on duty in the area approached Caesar. When he opened fire on them, the officers retaliate, shooting the known gang member. He was rushed to the Port of Spain General Hospital, where he later succumbed to his injuries. Admitting that an investigation will reveal the true picture, the Attorney General says policing is a tough job with tough decisions.
We must bear in mind these are simply allegations. The police have a very, very tough job to do if we are to solve crime in this country. And we have seen in the past not only instances of police brutality, but we have equally seen instances where people who are involved in a life of crime are quick to make accusations against the police.
And speaking to the media a little later, Attorney General Ramlogan says officers cannot be blamed if they retaliate when being shot at.
We cannot have law and order if there are certain parts of the country that arrogate unto themselves the right to fire at will at police officers so that that area is compartmentalized and although people are living in an undeclared state of emergency with self-imposed curfews.
For CNC3, I am Samuel McKnight.
And that's the story which takes us to the Your Vote question tonight. Now you've heard the comments of the National Security Minister and the Attorney General. We ask you, do you agree that Laventille as a community requires specific measures in crime fighting from the rest of the country? Text your response to the number 2623. If your response is yes, you're texting the letter Y, and if it's no, the letter N. We'll give you an update on the voting as we go along tonight and the final vote at the very end. Meanwhile, opposition leader Dr. Keith Rowley is appealing to police officers to use their guns responsibly. At a news conference today, Dr. Rowley warned police officers to avoid being misled by the National Security Minister Jack Warner, who praised officers after they fatally shot 2 men 2 weeks ago. He says there are consequences to their actions.
So police officers who may be influenced by the bravado of a misguided Minister of National Security must understand that their training and the authority of their superior officers is what should guide them in dealing with the public, armed or unarmed. The Minister of National Security is reckless and irresponsible, and he continues to behave as though he has been given bars on his shoulder, so he is now general.
Just hours after National Security Minister Jack Warner said that the crime situation was not that grim, 4 more murders were recorded in less than 24 hours, 3 of them occurring in Laventille. Ria Rambeli reports.
4 men have been killed, all in separate incidents. In the most recent incident, Marvin Brewster was shot while walking along Hall Trace, Pelican Trace Extension in Morvar. The incident took place around 2:30 Wednesday afternoon. Police officers responded to the report and rushed him to the Port of Spain General Hospital, where he later died. Officers found 2 spent shells at the scene. Brewster is believed to be in his late 20s, early 30s. And just an hour earlier, homicide officers had responded responded to another murder at the corner of Rudolph Charles Link Road and Laventille Road. There, the body of 34-year-old Charles May Alexis from Bowen Trace, Upper Matland, Laventille, was found slumped in his car. Alexis was said to be plying his motor vehicle from Laventille to Port of Spain around 1:30 p.m. when, on reaching the corner of Rudolph Charles Link Road, a passenger asked Alexis to stop. Residents reported hearing 2 loud explosions and observed passengers running from the parked vehicle. Police say Alexis was shot twice in the back of the head. Relatives rushed to the scene, and at one point Father Clyde Harvey also arrived, offering them words of comfort. Police suspect this killing may be connected to a previous murder. And earlier Wednesday morning, CPEP worker 46-year-old Michael Rigaud was found dead in a track leading into Mentor Alley. Residents reported hearing gunshots around 6 in the morning. And in South, 27-year-old Marcus Garcia was shot dead while visiting relatives in Guayaguari. Garcia from Rio Claro was found outside of his Nissan Almera, lying in a pool of blood. The murder toll now stands at 268 for the year. For CNC3, I'm Rhea Rambley.
We now continue the news with Samson Nanton. Samson.
Thank you very much, Charlie. Before we go on, though, the question you're voting on tonight, once again, we want to find out from you. You've heard the comments of the National Security Minister and AG. Do you agree that Laventille as a community requires specific measures in crime fighting from the rest of the country? Well, text your response to the number 2623. If you want to vote yes, text Y. If you want to vote no, text 10. We'll give you an update as we go along and the final result at the end of tonight's news. And we also want you to vote to determine who was the most influential person in Trinidad and Tobago over the last 50 years. Every night we unveil one of the 50 most influential personalities of our independence in 1962 right up to present day 2012. You can also vote via the number 2623. And just ahead on the CNC3 News, the opposition leader questions why Minister Jack Warner hired someone to spy on him. Consumers being told to brace for a hike in egg prices. And later, St. James businessmen began laying off workers as a result of the effects of the new traffic plan. These stories and more when we come back.
There's nothing quite like being made to feel special. Like you're the top of someone else's personal hit parade. That's how First Citizens wants each and every customer to feel. Whether it's through innovative products and services, new technologies, or a simple smile, we're always thinking about ways to make your day better and your life a little easier. First Citizens, we put you first.
Welcome on board, ladies and gentlemen. We'd like to thank you for traveling with us. For your convenience, you can find 4 exits, 2 at the front and 2 at the back. Enjoy your drive and have a nice day.
As we continue, Opposition Leader Dr. Keith Rowley is questioning what kind of man National Security Minister Jack Warner is after Dr. Rowley claims the minister hired a personal photographer to monitor his constituency office to see whether it was open after the devastating floods in Diego Martin. The opposition leader says citizens should be concerned about this move from the man in charge of the country's national security apparatus.
Opposition leader Dr. Keith Rowley says citizens should be concerned that the man in charge of this country's national security apparatus would station a cameraman outside of his constituency office to see whether it was open following the August 11th floods.
What manner of man is this? Who has control of the state's agencies to want to direct that agency, to want to keep a spy on the office of the leader of the opposition through the night so as to make a point that the office was closed? To think that he would want to direct resources, either of his own or of the state, to get an answer to that, and then to lie about it, should make us all sit up and take notice.
Dr. Rowley denied categorically that his offices were closed during the aftermath of the devastating flooding which hit his constituency 2 weekends ago. He said he was not in his office because the flooding did not happen there. but instead was out from as early as 7 a.m. in areas where citizens were affected. And he also notes that the parliamentary staff who work at his office have no obligation to keep it open late at night. But whether his office was open or not, Dr. Rowley believes the character of Mr. Warner comes into question.
If we had any concerns about how this minister will use the state's resources against innocent citizens, I think this is a harbinger of things to come.
At a news conference on Wednesday, the opposition leader also questioned Minister Warner's response to the crime statistics 1 year after the state of emergency.
Well, we apologize for that. We'll try to rectify it and bring it to you clearer in a subsequent newscast. Consumers are being told to brace for an increase in the price of eggs starting from this Thursday and also for another impending increase by December or early 2013. The warning comes from President of the Association of Table Egg Producers, Karim Khan, who today issued a notice that farmers will now be selling wholesale eggs at an increased price. The price increase ranges from $14.83 for a small dozen of eggs to $16.88 for a dozen of jumbo eggs. According to Khan, this increase in the sale of the sale price to grocers and markets would see consumers paying more for eggs. He says that the association has no control over how much consumers would now pay for eggs in the supermarket and groceries. He's also saying that farmers were forced to increase their selling price because of the price of poultry feed skyrocketing. Khan says that farmers will have to absorb other increases all on their own and have not been contacted by the Minister of Food Production regarding any possible assistance. Billions of dollars in revenue are being generated from right under the noses of Cedros fishermen. But tonight, they tell us that the state-owned Petrotrin has invested nothing in their community. They even accused Petrotrin of killing off the fishing industry. As we continue our look at the plight of fishermen in Cedros, the man leading the movement says that Cedros and environs are treated like sacrificial lambs. Cameraman Vern Tikasing and reporter Kamal Georges brought back this report.
When Cedros fishermen are deprived of Mother Nature's bounty, it affects the livelihoods of everyone in this rural fishing community.
How are we going to mind our family? How are we going to support our family? How are we going to face the groceries? Now, it's a lot of people depending on us. When the fishermen go out there and they catch their fish, the vendors depend on it to make a dollar. We depending on it to make a dollar. And the shopkeepers depending on us, the fishermen, to make a dollar.
I have a mother. Me and my mother alone live in home. Right? I live in a old house. For the last 7 months, I can't buy grocery. Get trimmer done spoil the seaboard already.
With more and more fishing tides producing little or nothing, fishermen took their concerns out on the ocean on Sunday. They accused the state-owned Petrotrin of taking food out of their mouths with indiscriminate industrial drilling. These waters are all many of these fishermen know, and they believe their livelihoods are being sacrificed for big business to benefit.
The weaker and smaller, weaker communities are being sacrificed on the altar of the stronger, okay, and more powerful communities, okay? And it's not just only in terms of physical communities, but in terms of special interests and everything else, okay? So that you find that, see, just like many other communities, if they want to get government's attention or they want to get anything, they have to engage in some kind of a national protest that will make their voices heard, whereas, other people don't even have to do anything, but by virtue of their power, can get things done.
Coordinator of the Cedros Fisherfolk United Group, Dr. Raphael Sebastian, says Cedros has little to show for the billions of dollars in revenue extracted from their small, untouched villages. He says the state-owned oil company has reinvested nothing in Cedros, and it is evident in the rundown infrastructure.
Everybody else, but the people in Cedros, have been benefiting from it, okay? And not only have we not been benefiting from the resources, but you are being shoved out of your existence, okay? And I mean, right now it's like you're pulling, the very lifeblood of the community. You're cutting that out for them, okay? And say, well, okay, survive if you can.
Dr. Sebastian says Petrotrin has failed to answer a number of their questions, like how many more wells they intend to commission and what is the estimated acreage of their proposed aggressive development program. He says answers to these questions would help fishermen know whether to park up their boats and look elsewhere for a means to feed their families, or if they should continue on with a trade that has not only brought food on the table but defined the community for generations. For CNC3, I'm Kamal Georges.
It's time now for What You Saw, where we highlight the video and the photos you send us. The address news@cnc3.co.tt. Our first picture tonight comes from Anderson Mohammed, who says to point out what he says is clearly the illegal use of handicap parking in Hilo, Alice Glen. Our next set of photos come from Janice in Tandu Grande. Janice says that residents were greeted with up to 3 feet of water. She says residents were left counting their losses, but Janice says the flooding is not an act of God, but says the problem has been created by contractors hired to clear ravines in the area. But Janice says the contractors only cleaned parts where people can see and left the equipment parked up. Janice wants to know who will compensate the residents for their losses. And finally, this final picture from Nelly, who created this photo, saying he is proud of Trinidad and Tobago. Well, thank you all for those photos. We also invite you, if you have your own photos or video you want to send in that's important to you, the address news@cnc3.co.tt. Charlie, I'm going to say tonight, if it's important to you, it's important to us.
You must say it every night.
Well, at least once a week, so tonight is the night.
All right, Samson, thank you very much. Let me remind you of tonight's Your Vote question at this time, which is also important. And the question we're asking you to vote on tonight is, do you agree that Laventille as a community requires specific measures in crime fighting from the rest of the country? Text your response to the number 2623. If your response is yes, then you're texting the letter Y, and if it's no, the letter N. We're going to give you an update on how you're voting after the sportscast and the final vote at the very end tonight. And here's what you can catch after this break in sport. Samuel Badri and 7 other Trinbagonians named in the West Indies T20 World Cup team. Lara waxing warm ahead of the 2020 for 50 tournament. Chris Binney and Nicolette Fernandez cop Caribbean area squash singles titles. Chelsea survive a scare from Reading in the EPL. And Franco creates horse racing history. Stay with us to find out more.
Bradley was a virtuoso arranger who carried Desperados to 6 Panorama Championships. Bradley was a self-taught musician. He played guitar and keyboard in brass bands and combos before he began arranging for steel bands in 1968. He was also a mathematician who taught at his alma mater, Fatima College, and the University of the West Indies. Bradley's music seemed to draw on his mathematical background. It was marked by continual experimentation and inventiveness. His peers lauded his ability to transform simple pieces into complex works of art. He was also impressive in his deep understanding of the human condition, the social environment in which steel band music was created, and the ease with which he communicated these ideas. Clive was well known in the New York Pan circuit. In 2005, the year of his death, he accomplished a first when his arrangements won first and second place in the Panorama competition there.
The 50 most influential personalities since independence. We want your view via text on Facebook and online at 50tt.guardian.co.tt.
Extraordinary what you can see when you take a second look. Extraordinary is all around us. share. And the connections we make. In every captured moment. Share the extraordinary with Digicel.
Feel the rhythm with Casey Candy Sweet Pan. This selected package filled with delightful Casey candies. Experience this sweet mint sensation for generations. Our souvenir of Trinidad and Tobago. So take home a Sweet Pan today. Casey Candy, we do make every moment sweeter. Call 636-2360 to place your orders now.
Ooh, can't concentrate. Can you pause it? I need to go to the bathroom.
No worries, go. Let's see what he has recorded here. Street Dogs, 101 Dalmatians, Scooby-Doo. Sex and the City.
Done. Man, you got a nice letterbox.
What letterbox? My letterbox?
With DirecTV Plus, it's possible to record all your favorite shows and movies for just $239 a month. You can replay, pause, and rewind all your favorite shows, plus record more than 100 hours of television. Call us now at 672-8111. With DirecTV, everything is possible.
This Independence Day is special. So at Subway for the whole month of August, the treat's on us. That's right. When you buy any foot-long Subway sandwich during August, we will give you a treat free. Choose from any of our decadent offerings. Cookies, muffins, brownies, even Soldanza chips. So stop by any of our 42 Subway stores for your next footlong and let us treat you. Happy Independence Day. Subway. Eat fresh.
Trinidad and Tobago spinner Samuel Badri has been selected as a member of the West Indies 15-member squad for the ICC T20 World Cup next month in Sri Lanka. Badri's selection comes after years of addressing the selectors with economic performances season after season. 7 other Trinidad and Tobago players will make the trip as well.
The fact that 8 Trinidad and Tobago players have been included in the 15-man West Indies squad for the ICC T20 World Cup comes really as no surprise. After all, the Red Force is the dominant team in this format in the region. The real story, though, lies in the inclusion of Samuel Badri, the economical leg spinner from South Trinidad. His figures in the last 4 seasons have warranted this selection, but his senior West Indies debut only came in June versus New Zealand in Florida. Nevertheless, he would be more than pleased with his inclusion today as part of what looks like an overall very strong team, at least on paper. He has no less than 7 Trinbagonians as company, with Dwayne Bravo as the vice skipper, Darren Bravo, Sunil Narayan, Kyron Pollard, Dinesh Ramden, Ravi Rampal, and Lendell Simmons all featuring. Darren Sammy will skipper the team, which also includes Johnson Charles, Chris Gale, Dwayne Smith, Marlon Samuels, Andrew Russell, and Fidel Edwards. Anyone missing? Well, there's no place in this team for Quickster Kemar Roach, with no explanation for his exclusion as yet forthcoming. Reporting for CNC3 Sports, I am Jassi Marik.
2020 for 50 this weekend's cricket extravaganza is quickly gaining momentum. Several of the international stars set to participate will begin arriving between tomorrow and today, but still, though, none may command the kind of attention bound to surround the Prince of Port of Spain himself, Brian Charles Lara. He granted our very own Jassi Marik a unique interview today during a net session at the Queen's Park Oval.
It's quite rare that you get to see Brian Lara bat. So understand my excitement to see him practice in the nets on Wednesday. And even in this profession, it's even more of a rarity to be able to have a chat. So imagine my surprise as I was jostling for a better viewing angle when he signaled me to join him in the nets.
Worried, eh?
Of course I was worried. But he assured the ball only goes where he intends. Well, maybe not always.
Sorry.
Our chat, though, covered mostly this weekend's activity, his readiness.
Fine, a bit rusty, but I think most importantly is to get back into the groove. I'm looking forward to the weekend. Should be fun.
His reservations.
For me, it's just about that all-out attacking form of the game. I haven't played much of it, but
And the prospect of facing young Kishon Walcott.
I look forward to that, definitely. I've spoken to him and he said he's going to bowl me out. I don't know how that's going to happen. But yeah.
Going a bit further, Lara feels that this is a great way to commemorate our 50th anniversary of independence.
We in the Caribbean, very well known for cricket prowess. And first to use this occasion and have some international players coming out, actually getting me back on the cricket field. I think it's great.
And of course, he still has that competitive edge.
My team is playing to win. That's all I know. It's not going to be fun. I've got some good players. Peter Edwards is back on my team. I'm not coming out for any joke this weekend. This weekend is pretty serious.
So if that wasn't enough to get you excited about this weekend, here's some more of Lara's next session. Reporting for CNC3 Sports, I am Jassy Marie.
Oh, simply mesmerizing to watch, Brian. And aren't you envious of Jassy? I know I am a bit. Well, the West Indies under-19s saw off Pakistan last night to book a fifth-place playoff in the finals against England in the ICC Under-19 World Cup in Australia. After the Windies were put into bat, opener Craig Brathwaite struck 39, while Stephen Katwaru made 35 as the West Indies were restricted to 182 all out in 49 overs. Jerome Jones and Darren Davis then shared 5 wickets to bowl Pakistan out for 166 runs in 48.3 overs. The 16-run victory means the West Indies under-19s set up a date on Thursday night with England to determine who will finish 5th at the Youth World Cup. And across in Barbados, play was abandoned in all 3 matches in round 3 of the WICB Regional Under-19 One-Day Championship. Guyana batted first against TNT and were 86 for 2 before rain ended play. Chris Binney of Jamaica and Nicolette Fernandez of Guyana were crowned men and women's champions of the 20th Caribbean Area Squash Association's championships last night at the Cascadia Hotel. Both enjoyed relatively easy nights as the singles events came to an end. Jassy Marie Casmo.
From the very first serve at the Cascadia Squash Courts, all 4 finalists gave it everything on court. In the women's final between Bajan Karen Meekins and Guyanese Nicolette Fernandez, Fernandez was made to work hard for every point in the first game. She edged it 12-10, and from there on, Meekins trailed. In the second game, Fernandez made light work of her opponent, winning there 11-2. It meant Meekins had to win the third game or surrender the ladies' singles championship, and she got off to the worst possible start. Fernandez raced to a 5-0 lead and held her nerve to finish off the job, convincingly winning the third game 11-1. It was an equally easy night for Chris Binney minutes later in the men's singles final, coming up against the reigning Cayman Islands Junior Open champion Cameron Stratford. Binney won the first 2 games 11-7 and 11-6 respectively, and in the all-important third, both players tried to seize the initiative. They tussled hard on court, but Binney kept his game together to take the third game and the men's championship 11-4. After successfully defending his title, he was delighted to once again come out on top.
It feels great. I came in with a little pressure because I was defending the title. But I came in, I was calm, I was composed, especially in the finals. It was a difficult game. Cameron's a good player. And thankfully, I was able to win tonight.
Reporting for CNC3 Sports, I am Jassy Merrick.
Turning to basketball now, groundwork for the inaugural Hoops of Life Community Basketball League is apace, heading towards its jump-off date in October. In the next 2 days, that's Thursday and Friday, coordinators will host another round of technical meetings in 13 communities for persons interested in managing and coaching teams. The meetings will take place on the following community outdoor basketball courts from 6 o'clock in the evening on each day. On Thursday, in Lachus Road in Pinal, Circular Road in Pleasantville, Pundit Street in Capdeville, Rio Claro Basketball Court, Naparima Mayar Road, Larry Gomes Stadium Car Park, the Kumano Recreational Ground in Kumano, Madras Road in St. Helena, the Raymond Reed Basketball Court in Belmont, the D-Bay Road St. James Basketball Court, and the Honeymoon Park in Tunapuna. On Friday, John Lane Extension in Dabadi, Paradise Heights Basketball Court in Caledonia, and on the basketball court on the main road in Maraval. The Santa Cruz touring team headed by Lyndon Lara recently honored 5 persons in the area who have made meaningful contributions to the development of residents in the village and its surroundings. Now, Santa Cruz boasts of having produced the likes of the Bravo brothers, Dwayne and Darren, Arnold Dwarka, and of course creating cricket genius Brian Lara.
The Santa Cruz Recreation Ground came alive with the Santa Cruz touring team holding its 10th annual Sports and Family Day. Children of all age groups were involved, as well as there were various activities with a competitive flavor to each one. President of the Santa Cruz touring team and councillor for the area, Lyndon Lara, says it's all about giving back to the community.
We saw the need to give back to the community by organizing the carnival events that we normally have, plus this sports day. We have also organized peace marches and concerts, just a way of rallying the community together.
Senior Superintendent Christopher Lewis of Northeastern Division endorses the effort and its intentions.
This event is is a good initiative that would assist in the crime fighting initiatives by the police officers.
Lara also pointed out they use the opportunity to recognize those who have contributed to the upliftment of the lives of residents of the area.
We had Ms. Joan Sherry Rock in the field of teaching, education. We also had Ms. Isidra Sazano in the field of education, Mr. Jerome Joseph for community service.
The world will see the Olympic men's 100-meter gold and silver medalists run for the first time since London tomorrow when they take part in the Diamond League meet in Lucerne, Switzerland. But for those anticipating a Bolt and Blake rematch, well, it won't happen.
Meanwhile, we won't be seeing him on the same track as his fellow Jamaican Johan Blake again this season. Their manager says they'll be entered in different races. On Thursday, the triple Olympic champion will race in the 200 metres at the Diamond League event in Lausanne. Blake will run in the 100.
Right now, I'm not even thinking about records. I'm definitely want to put on a good show for the fans because I love running here and they always scream loud and always give me a lot of energy. But this season, I'm just trying to finish the season injury-free because it's been a really stressful season for me. So I'm just trying to get through these last 3 races.
Well, for me, it's about, concentration and what I'm going to do, execution. I don't really focus on anybody. For me, it's just to listen what the coach say. I'm technically correct when I'm running and just to keep my form and just what happens after I cross the line happens.
Chelsea kept up their 100% start to the new Premiership season with a come-from-behind victory over Reading today at Stamford Bridge. The home team started the game positively and took the lead from a Frank Lampard penalty kick, but Reading stormed back with a goal from the head of Pavel Pogrebnyak past Peter Cech in goal. 4 minutes later, it got even better for the visitors when Danny Guthrie's free kick was mishandled by Cech and crawled in 2-1 to Reading. After the break, Chelsea got themselves together and capitalised from another goalkeeping blunder as Gary Cahill's low drive from distance squeezed in. Fernando Torres added a controversial third on a flowing Chelsea attack before the Blues sealed their win in the final minute of added-on time for a 4-2 win, which takes them to the summit of the league. To a bit of international horse racing now. Have you ever heard of the name Frankel? Well, if not, then commit it to memory, because this just might be the greatest horse in history. The colt stretched his record to 13 wins in 13 races when winning his first ever ride over 10 furlongs or over a mile. It came in the Juddmount International Stakes at York in the UK.
The 4-year-old colt, seen here at the front being ridden by Tom Queally in the pink hat, pulled away from the rest of the field to win by 7 clear lengths to make it a stunning 13 wins out of 13. And what a breathtaking performance it was. The stands were packed at the Ebor Festival in York in England to see the colt win over 10 furlongs, the longest race of his career so far. Frankel is expected to race once more before retiring to stud.
Sports High now, and we go back to Stamford Bridge in what was a memorable comeback for Chelsea today against Reading.
Needing to find a winner in the 90th minute, Reading threw everyone forward for this last gasp corner, including their goalkeeper. Nothing new, of course, but when the ball was cleared, Chelsea displayed a scintillating piece of counter-attacking football, with Torres releasing Eden Hazard down the right, and in quite unselfish fashion, the winger played in Branislav Ivanovic to slot home Chelsea's 4th goal of the day and make his way into tonight's CNC3 Sports High.
Go West London. Well, that's how we end the Sportscast here, and we now move to the Your Vote. Let's get an update on how it's going so far tonight. The question you're voting on: do you agree that Laventille as a community requires specific measures in crime fighting from the rest of the country? Well, so far 98% of you are voting in yes, while 2% of you have so far voted in no. Well, remember, you still have a chance to get your vote in before the end of tonight's newscast, and be sure to go to our Facebook page and comment on that question. It will be used for Your Views segment tomorrow night. So from sport to the Your Vote, now we go to a break, but when we come back, we're going to tell you why St. James businessmen are now pleading with the Port of Spain mayor to change the traffic plans in the area and in Woodbrook. All the details on the CNC3 News. Stay with us.
It's true. It has been proven that coffee is a natural source of antioxidants because it comes from coffee cherries. And like some other fruits, it provides an important amount of antioxidants. I drink several cups a day, and when I do it, I enjoy more than the aroma and the taste I love. Another good reason to drink Nescafe.
Check this.
I stuck in traffic. Well, the Wi-Fi speeds and 4G speed.
B-Mobile, TNT's #1 mobile network.
This really one bank, it can depend on friendly service every day. It's really one standard of treating you like you deserve to be. Yeah, Republic gives only the best to you. We give personal attention, so explain for your inspection.
Preparing wooden surfaces. Paint options for new wood. Apply 1 coat of Sisson's Supergloss oil paint thinned with 500cc or 1 pint of Sisson's paint thinners per gallon, followed by 2 or more coats unthinned Supergloss oil paint, allowing overnight drying and light sanding between coats.
We are touched by your smiles and your friendships, by your appreciation of the past and your ability to see the future. We're motivated by your drive and your willingness to try new things. We are fascinated that even though you are so very different, you still see yourself as so very much the same. We are energized by how hard you work and your ability to have a good time, by your pride and your passion. We are moved by your every new beginning and wonderful end. Every day we're inspired by your likes and your lives, and we'll continue to challenge ourselves to remain a big part of them both. Bermudez, the biscuits we love.
We now go to your weather with Eric Mackey. Eric.
Thank you, Charlene. We have two tropical systems in the Atlantic tonight, one of which is going through the island chain, and we got a new kid on the block, Tropical Depression 7, just coming in the picture there. Now, Tropical Depression 7 is not going to come into the Caribbean at all. At first, it was looking like it would do that, but things have changed in the stirring levels of the atmosphere, and that depression is going to become a storm and travel northeast of the islands up into the Atlantic, not going to affect us in the Eastern Caribbean. Closer to home, we got Tropical Storm Isaac in the north part of the Caribbean. At this time, the center of Isaac is passing through the island chain, just south of Guadeloupe. It's about 30 to 40 kilometers south of Guadeloupe. But as you can see, pretty large storm, and it's got a very large wind envelope, and that wind envelope is stretching all the way down to Trinidad and Tobago and all the way north of the island chain as well, all up here. Earlier today, I was looking at the data buoys up in this area and seeing 30-knot winds, quite a good distance out from the storm itself. Now, we're also in the wind field, as I mentioned, so there's a possibility of us getting feeder band effect overnight into tomorrow. We did have some today. The wind set into a west-southwesterly direction. Didn't get too strong, up to about 10, 11 knots. I did make a little bit of a chop in the Gulf of Paria, but nothing serious. However, Met is saying that there's a chance overnight into tomorrow that those winds could get a bit stronger, and seas in the Gulf could possibly get as high as 2 meters. So all marine interests in the Gulf of Paria tonight into tomorrow need to pay particular attention to the weather conditions. We're also looking at all of this cloudiness here in the intertropical convergence zone that's coming towards us, and it is in the forecast for tonight and for tomorrow. And it does look as if we will have some showers and thunderstorm activity as the system tracks to the north and brings all of that activity and the tail end of it towards Trinidad. So we're looking for not too good conditions overnight into tomorrow. So the wind is going to be quite a bit difficult. It's going to be around 10 to 18 knots, gusting to 22. It may actually get a little bit higher than that at times. It's going to be somewhat variable. We're looking at the southeast to southerly direction if the feeder bands touch down. We look at those that sort of a direction for tomorrow, going straight across the Gulf of Paria up into the system as it tracks to the west. So that will be it. Now, other than that, if the feeder band doesn't touch down, then we may see northerly or northeast or even easterly winds at times. So it's going to be quite a bit around the clock. The seas are going to be around 2 to 2.5 meters offshore, possibly a little bit higher than that. 10 to 14 second interval between the swells. They're going to be out one northeasterly direction mostly, and east-northeasterly at times. And in the Gulf of Paria, again, seas somewhat variable. They may get as high as 2 meters if those feeder bands touch down in the Gulf. Trinidad tonight's going to have intermittent showers and or rain, periods of rain, particularly after midnight into the early tomorrow morning. Chance of a thunderstorm tonight, so it'll be 25 degrees. Tomorrow we're looking at intermittent showers and periods of rain and isolated thunderstorm activity during the day. High of 30. Met Services advise that gusty winds and street or flash flooding are expected in the vicinity of any heavy downpours. Tobago tonight, fair at first, become cloudy with showers, a chance of a thunderstorm, particularly after midnight. Tonight, so it'll be 24 degrees. And tomorrow, we're looking at variably cloudy conditions with showers and isolated thunderstorm activity again, and a high of only 28. The sun's going to rise at 5:56 a.m. and sets at 6:20 p.m. The first low tide for Port of Spain will be at 1:53 a.m. and for Scarborough 1:27. First high tide at 7:59 for Port of Spain and 7:40 for Scarborough. And that's my weather report for now. We'll have a look at the travelers forecast and we take a short break, and then I come back, Charlie, and have some more news here.
You're talking to your best friend when
You're getting a clean day, family.
you get cash back.
Yeah, darling.
You're talking to your best friend when you realize you're always a winner. You're talking to your best friend when you get a makeover. You suddenly feel like dancing. Every dog gets its day. You have your cake and eat it too. Nightfall. You're talking to your best friend. Whatever else happens, always get extraordinary value with Digicel. Get $1 cash back for every paid minute on local Digi-to-Digi calls made during the day, so you can talk more at night. Be extraordinary. Digicel.
When it was announced, the suspense was over. And then when I looked at the contestants behind me and all around me, I realized what it meant for Trinidad and Tobago. What makes me proud about Trinidad and Tobago? It's really the spirit of the people. We are a beautiful people. What are you proud about? Tell us on Twitter by tweeting to #I4TNT.
Where there's love for country, there's energy. Where there's energy, there's BPTT.
It's gonna be a great day. Got my ginseng up, hey. Let's focus, people. Come on and get it sorted. Get more out of your day. Get things done efficiently. Let's go with it. Come on and just drink it, people. Drink it up now. Drink it up now. Ginseng up now. Ginseng up now. Oh. Enjoy the new look and same great taste today. Ginseng up, the root of all power.
Tough on sweat. Not on skin. Get powerful 48-hour sweat protection plus quarter moisturizer technology only with Dove Men Plus Care deodorant. Feel the impact of freshness. New Dove Men Plus Care Aqua Impact Deodorant.
Now Latifi. Great skill by Russell Latifi.
Nicknamed the Little Magician, Russell Latifi is a dynamic, aggressive midfielder known for his abilities as a playmaker and goal scorer. Latifi is the first Trinidad and Tobago national to have played in the UEFA Champions League under FC Porto early in his career. In a senior career spanning over 20 years at both club and international level, he played in Portugal and Scotland, eventually settling with Falkirk in the Scottish Premier League as both player and coach. As a national player, Latifi's World Cup hopes were fouled when Trinidad and Tobago failed to qualify for Italy in 1990. A chance to bury that ghost came in 2006. Latifi's return to his national team helped defeat Bahrain, taking the Soca Warriors to Germany. Latifi later took on the job of coaching the national senior team, eventually resigning this post in 2011. Russell Latifi, homegrown footballer, legacy in sport.
Thank you for staying with us. St. James and Woodbrook businessmen have begun laying off workers as they say they can no longer absorb the losses being incurred because of the new traffic scheme. 3 business owners tell us they've either had to send home staff or reduce their working hours. Businessmen are calling on Port of Spain Mayor Louis Leasing to reconsider this plan.
The empty roadway in front of Jacqueline's patisserie on Arapita Avenue is bad news for its managing director, Grant Chin. Since the implementation of the new experimental traffic scheme for Woodbrook and St. James, Chin says he's watched his customer base diminish within weeks.
Sales have been down between 40 and 50%. I actually consistently, and I actually had to lay off 3 people already.
He says the parking situation on Arapita Avenue has forced customers elsewhere. Even during the legal parking hours, he says people are hesitant to park in fear of the speeding and wrecking. After 40 years of doing business in this very spot, he says his business is in danger.
Businessman, people have been making a profit, a marginal profit over these years. The economy is slow. A marginal profit, and this traffic plan has just eaten away at all the profits. People are now going into debit.
Across in St. James, at least one businessman who preferred not to be identified said he has also had to lay off at least 2 workers in the last week. He has seen his sales cut by $3,000 a day. That's almost 40% of his daily revenue. But that scenario is not unique. Just up the Western Main Road, Charles Wooling, the owner of Wooling Supermarket, says sales have been hit hard.
We lose about 25 to 35% of the business, and the workers and them have to get less hours now.
He says he is still grateful because there are businessmen who have it much worse. But if this trend continues, he says he will have to re-examine how he goes about doing business. For CNC3, I'm Kamal Georges.
We now take a short break, but be sure to stay with us.
Need to fix your plumbing, shower, or bathroom? Yes, we have that too. Pipes, shower fittings, toilets, the widest range of Makita, Stanley, and all other hardware supplies at competitive prices. Visit our website or come in today at 185 Union Road, Marabella. Southern Wholesale Stores Limited. More than just a hardware.
Just never had a lot of toys. His bike was basically all he had. He rode that bike and rode that bike and rode that bike. Now look at him, speeding all over the world, representing his country. I'm proud of my son, making local history, even making world history. What are you proud about? Tell us on Twitter by tweeting to #I4TNT.
Where there's love for country, there's energy. Where there's energy, there's BPTT.
Heading back out to work after a great vacation? Catwalk's got you covered. Take 60% off our entire career department. All jackets, pants, skirts, blouses, and suits are all on sale. Take 60% off accessories too. Sale now on at all Catwalk stores.
Mrs. B is happy. She's happy because she knows every bottle of Smolta is filled with B vitamins, ideal for growth, concentration, and vitality. Give them their B's. Smolta, because you love them.
Modern life can be demanding on your eyes. From outdoor to indoor, professional to sporting activities, to long hours on the computer. LensTech at Ferrera Optical gives you up to $800 off premium lenses with frames to suit your lifestyle needs. Offer ends September 15th, only at Ferrera Optical.
It's time now for some positive vibes.
Tonight's Positive Vibes segment is brought to you by Nescafe.
Scores of children were feted on Wednesday at the Ministry of Local Government Kids Day program. Local Government Minister Dr. Suraj Rambachan met with the youngsters and also gave them small tokens of appreciation. But according to Minister Dr. Rambachan, this period that the country is in, on the threshold of celebrating 50 years of independence, is a means of renewal for all citizens, especially the young. As he playfully asked the youngsters to repeat this country's motto and watchwords, the minister believes the country's future and the dreams of first Prime Minister Dr. Eric Williams are in safe hands.
From this day onwards, you must always think about how you are going to cooperate with each other, how you are going to love each other, how you are going to respect each other, how you are going to be a team wherever you are, so that we can talk about not just the Soca Warriors team, but we can talk about Team Trinidad and Tobago.
Tonight's Positive Vibes segment was brought to you by Nescafe.
There's one in all of us. Don't drink and drive. Designate a friend so you can lime again. Be the one. A message from the Trinidad and Tobago Beverage Alcohol Alliance.
Yeah, babe. Ray, we now leaving here and we real hungry. Food? Hey, fellas. So food ready?
Hand jack.
But like my baby spent whole day cooking, now that's a table to be proud of.
Well, only the best for my baby. Rainbow corned beef, darling. Rainbow corned beef.